When I was 22, I interviewed for what I thought was my dream job. I'd spent days preparing. I bought a new shirt I couldn't really afford, printed extra copies of my resume, practiced answers in the mirror. I walked into that interview convinced I had a real chance. About 10 minutes in, the hearing manager stopped asking questions. He looked at my resume, leaned back in his chair, and said, "I'm going to save both of us some time." He told me I wasn't confident enough. I didn't have the right personality. And then he said something I'll never forget. "People like you don't become successful. You should aim lower." I thanked him for his time, then sat in my car for almost an hour wondering if he was right. For the next year, I worked a boring office job that barely paid my bills. But every night after work, I spent 4 or 5 hours learning everything I could about starting a business. Most nights, I didn't get to bed until 2 in the morning. My weekends disappeared. My friends stopped inviting me out because I always said no. They thought I was obsessed. Maybe I was. A year later, I finally quit. Everyone said I was making a huge mistake. My parents wanted me to keep the stable paycheck. My friends told me to wait until the right time. The right time never came. So I started anyway. The first year was awful. I made almost every mistake you can think of. I trusted the wrong people. Lost thousands of dollars on bad ideas. Had months where I genuinely didn't know if I'd make rent. More than once, I opened job websites, just in case. But I never sent an application. Then everything started to click. One client recommended me to another. That client brought in 3 more. Word spread. I hired my first employee. Then my 5th. Then my 20th. Within 6 years, my company had offices in 3 cities. We were doing millions in revenue. One morning, my HR director dropped a stack of resumes on my desk. She said, "There's one candidate I think you'll recognize." I looked at the name. It was him. The same hearing manager who told me people like me don't become successful. His company had shut down. He was looking for work. He had no idea where he'd applied. I almost laughed. For years, I'd imagined this moment. I thought I'd throw his resume away without a second thought. Instead, I scheduled the interview. When he walked into the room, he smiled like we'd never met. Then he looked at me again. His smile disappeared. He recognized me instantly. The interview was awkward. He eventually sighed and said, "I owe you an apology." He admitted he'd judged people too quickly back then. He said losing his own job had humbled him. When the interview ended, he asked if he still had a chance. I thought about everything he'd said to me years earlier. Then I smiled. One conversation almost made me give up on myself. I'm not going to let one conversation define your future. We hired him. Not because he rejected me. Because he was the best person for the job. The biggest lesson I learned wasn't how to build a successful business. It was this: the people who underestimate you today may end up asking you for an opportunity tomorrow.